Hey everybody, happy Monday. I am Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy, and I'm an elite Dixie Belle retailer here in Ardmore, Alabama at the Rustic Willow. So I'm just going to give it a sec, make sure that we're live here. We should have Dixie Belle on with us tonight as well. They're just here to help answer any questions or anything like that. We're going to be working with the new clay paint, which is really awesome. I'm loving it. So as you guys are jumping on, just say hey, where you're watching from, if you're working on any projects tonight. And before we get started, in the description, I do have the link to the Chalk Mineral Paint Enthusiast group. So if you're looking for inspiration, questions, anything like that, or share one of your pieces with the group, there's some amazing artists in there. I also have my affiliate link listed, so you can click that. You can find your local retailer if you want to go into a store locally. You can also order online through there if you're interested in any of the products. And then I also have the link to my Facebook page posted, so like and follow me on Facebook, and that's where you can see all the finished product or projects, all kinds of different things on there. So we can go ahead and get started. I see some people coming on. Hey, Cheryl. So you guys, I actually posted on my page a few hours ago. It was kind of late, but between doing, so both of these pieces are going to be done in clay paint. And between doing the second coat on this piece over here, which by the way, I did a video on this, so I'll be posting it when I post the finished piece, or doing the first coat on this one, and this one won the vote, so that's what we're going to be working on. And we're going to be using the colors London Blue, which is this really dark blue here off to the side. And then we're going to be using Blue Agave. You guys, I love these colors. They are so amazing. Oh, hey, Marianne, how are you? Oh, wow, at a motorcycle rally. All right, and then so we got Blue Agave. That's the color in the middle here. And then we're also going to be using some Moonbeam, which is kind of the white color on the edge over here. And you guys, I did a bunch of small pieces just to kind of play with this paint. What do you guys think of the paint, if anybody's used it? What are your favorite colors? So this is actually the Blue Agave that I just showed you. It's got desert sands, or what is that color called? Desert tan, sorry. I'm still trying to get the names right. Yes, they are. They're beautiful. They're so much more vibrant than the color cards, you guys. These colors are amazing. But anyway, I've got the desert tan in here and then Moonbeam on top. So this was kind of supposed to be a little bit farmhousey. And then, of course, a few hours before the live, I decided I want to paint it a little bit different. Sorry, Siri's not sure about that. Neither am I. That's why I changed my mind so much. So let me go ahead and show you guys the side of this piece, and then we'll go ahead and start painting. I'll talk about what I did to it. Hopefully I don't drop you off. My tripod's being a little bit weird here. So let me go ahead and spin this around so you can kind of get an idea of how we're going to put this. So this is the first coat. We're just going to be doing a little blending. Pop you down, sorry. So you can kind of see how that looks. I will be doing a second coat on this piece. I'm going to do it in the same colors as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pop you back around so you can see the whole piece here. And we will get started. So this is a super old antique dresser. It's got these gorgeous claw feet. I love those, which is what really lends itself to that farmhouse kind of layered look. But this piece, it actually had a mirror on top and, you know, the small drawers. But I decided to go ahead and take that off and just, it really made it look dated. So I feel like this is going to make it a lot more versatile in someone's home. So I painted that side a little bit earlier. I just went ahead, I went ahead and stuck my plate that I have my colors on. I might have to get out a few more, but I stuck them on here. Hey, Patricia. I stuck them on here, so we're kind of ready to go. So you guys, with the clay paint, I'm going to go ahead and open one of them so you can see what it looks like. Of course, my scissors are way over there. Let me see if I can, well, maybe the back of one of these spoons will work. There we go. So this paint is super thick, which is awesome for texture, awesome for layering, all that good stuff. So that's one of the big differences. Awesome for coverage, all of that. So let me just go ahead and use my spoon here so you can see how thick this color is. It is just it's super thick paint. It is water-based, so you can thin it with water if you want to, but I mean, I wouldn't. This is one of the things that, well, just one of the things that make it great for texture and everything else. And it is an artisan. I keep wanting to say artisan paint. It's going to reactivate too a lot. It never cures. It'll always reactivate with water. So that's kind of important to know as well. And we're just going to start. We've got the Big Daddy brushes. You want to use a natural bristle brush with this paint. It's quite a bit different. It doesn't have any self-leveling properties like the other paints. So I'll just kind of let those, or talk about those as I go. So I'm going to start with the Big Daddy brush, and this is our London blue, which is the darkest blue. And I'm going to go ahead and just dab this because that's what's giving me texture here. I'm going to go ahead and dab it on. So this paint's going to be super easy to blend because it reactivates so easily. Your chalk mineral paint will reactivate to a point, but not like this paint. Eventually it'll get hard and that'll be it. This paint's gonna reactivate just like you were just painting with it. It does dry lighter too than what it looks like here. We're just gonna wanna get that paint in all the grooves. I'm not trying to get a pretty paint job right now, you guys, and I don't care about these. I debated on taking this hardware off, but I decided to go ahead and leave it on. I'm going to actually wipe this paint off of it, though, because I'm going to do some things with some gilding wax and stuff like that to really update it. Add a little dust there because I sanded off where I filled, and it was a little bit soon, but with the Dixie mud. So just to talk about what I did first. So this piece is oak. I did clean it with White Lightning. And once I cleaned it with White Lightning, of course I sanded the top all the way down. And normally I would just hit the body of my piece with, it's got a kind of a, somebody protected this. This piece is very old, but this protectant is newer, whatever was used on here. It's in really good shape. It makes it kind of slick a little bit. So normally I would just hit it with my sander, and probably I would have to boss this piece depending on if I was using silk or CMP. But I really wanted to see how this chalk paint, how this clay paint was gonna act. So I did a true scuff sand where I only took one of the rad pads. It was about a 120 grit, the gray one. I think it's like a 120 grit. And I just did a scuff sand across it. You guys, this paint sticks from all the little pieces I've tested it on. It actually sticks really great. So what I'm doing along here, I'm going to be coming in with my blue agave here, but I want this dark London blue in the grooves because I want this piece to really have a lot of depth. So I want this all nice and in the grooves along here. I think I'll do this groove, and then the next ones I'll do in the blue agave. And I just want to make sure that I'm getting good coverage here because this is my first coat. All right, so I'm going to use a different brush. I could go back in and use this brush, but I want my colors, I don't want my colors to come together quite that much. And I really hate it, you guys, because I've got some more Big Daddy brushes ordered, but I really wish I would have ordered myself more than one. I always want to try stuff first, though. And so I'm really regretting the fact that I didn't order more than one. This brush is so awesome. You saw how quick all that went on, and now we're going to be putting this. I might actually, I really want to use different brushes here, but I'm going to do this a little bit. I'm going to dip my Big Daddy into my blue agave, and I'm going to get this on. I can always go back and shade. And I don't care how thick this paint is. I want texture. This is an oak piece, and it's very old. It's got a lot of nicks and dings in it. It's not in nearly as good a shape as it looks whenever it's on camera. But see how if I was trying to blend with the chalk mineral paint, I would have to put water on here. Right now I have a dry brush, and I'm just kind of melding these colors together. I'm going to come in here. I actually want to get in a few spots with the London blue over here. Just kind of inside those edges. The paint goes a really long way. This is really one lump spoonful of each color. And I've done the side, and now we're just working across the front here. So if you guys are just jumping on, I haven't seen any questions or comments yet, but if you guys are just jumping on, I'm using London blue agave, and we're going to come in with some moonbeam once we get closer to the top here. Just kind of want to see where I made that transition. So I'm using the side of my brush because I'm really just wanting to get a little bit on the edges. I'm not really wanting to get this color down in the grooves. And see how I've got a few splatters there? I've actually, on this other side over here, I actually came back in and splattered some paint on it. So I'm going for that. I'm trying to get that. And I'm just using the side of my brush, and I'm kind of patting this in. I want that line highlighted. But I don't want to get it into the crack there. So I'm just coming across. You guys, all these little things in the first coat, once you do that second coat, this is what really gives it the depth. Everything that you're doing here. I'm just kind of blending in over on this side where I already painted and I came around the corner. I'm going to now come in with my blue agave here. And this is a premium chip brush that I'm using. And I think, first of all, I'm just going to get it down into these grooves. So if I wanted to make this easier, I could wet my brush and just really get it down in here. I'm just kind of glopping the paint on. I'm not, just want to get it all in here. I'm going for the coverage. what I'm going to do, this just takes a long, this brush is amazing, you guys. If you haven't used it, I'm going to try to wash off or dry brush off a lot of this blue agave, or excuse me, this London blue. And we're going to come in with this blue agave here. This will be painted, this little line around here, but I'm not too worried about that right now, just because I will have to tape it off because of the method that I'm using here. And we're going to go ahead and open this up. You know, I have at least 10 flathead screwdrivers. But every time, if you can even understand me, sorry. I have about 10 flathead screwdrivers, but I can never, ever find them when I need them. I don't know if that's just me. I keep trying to get organized, but I don't know. I'm just not a very organized person. I want to be, but it just doesn't happen that way. You guys are so quiet tonight. All right, so I just got another kind of heaping spoonful on here. And this is curved, so kind of on these high points, I want to bring this back in. So now if I was on a later coat and I wanted to really, really blend this, I would use water. And that's going to reactivate all my paint more so than it is now. And this paint, you guys, it takes longer to dry than the chalk mineral paint. And most of the time where I'm at, I'm in a pretty high moisture area. So mostly where I'm at, things always take a little bit longer for me to dry, for mine to dry. But this still definitely dries. It's definitely a slower dry. All right, so this next part where I'm gonna come in with the moonbeam, I actually want to add a little moonbeam down here. What I'm doing is I'm just gonna brush it in, and I'm actually thinking the second coat is going to be more of a brushed coat like that. But this first coat, I want to create these little peaks and valleys, which is what I'm doing with this. So that way when I come back and I brush on that second coat, it's going to create, it'll create a lot more depth. But look how beautifully these colors come together. I'm just in love with all the colors. So I'm constantly going back over areas that I've already painted and that are drying. You want to be careful because if it's in a certain stage of drying, then it will actually pull the paint back. If it's not quite dry, but it's just started to dry, it will actually end up pulling the paint back. So you want to be careful when you keep going back over areas like this. But like, see down here, I want some of this highlighted a little bit more. And I'll bring you guys in closer to the end so you can see this, because it's something that is really, it's almost impossible to see. It's almost impossible to see it on camera unless you've got it close up. And so, of course, this is the ugly phase of this. And I'm kind of using the same brush right now. This is a low point where the drawer is curved in. So I'm just taking a little blue agave and running it up through here to kind of just add a little bit of shading there. And I'm going to come back with my Big Daddy. And it's got blue agave on it. And I'm just going to keep on kind of lightly blending these colors together. And I'm just steady going back over these areas. Okay, so let's go ahead. This is definitely a high point. We're going to want a lot more of this moonbeam. I mean, this moonbeam would be fantastic for that farmhouse look. So I'm just kind of running this down a little bit. This is kind of a higher point here. I'm going to come back in. I'm not adding any more paint. I'm just using this to really blend what I already put on in this next section. Yeah, so Marianne, it is easier to blend with this paint because it reactivates. It's like oil paint is super easy to blend because it never dries. Well, this paint dries, but it just reactivates when you start working it again. So the colors just meld together so easily. The thing about this paint is, and I just tried this before the live on a smaller piece. I actually, because it's recommended that you use these natural bristle brushes, but I tried painting with a synthetic brush to see, because it's not self-leveling, so it's going to be a textured paint. I'm actually able to get it, it blends so easy, and I'm actually able to get it pretty, pretty streak-free, pretty good and leveled. So I think even though this paint isn't designed for that smooth, classy, kind of elegant blend, I'm going to try it. I think that it might create something really, really nice. I don't know. I'm going to see what happens. I like to really play with the paints a lot, so I can get a good feel for all the different things that you can do with it. And you guys, I think I'm going to end up aging this out a little bit too. I don't know if I'm going to end up using the Dixie dirt or what I'm going to use to do that. But, or if I'm just going to go with wax, I'm not sure. So this is my brush that has little leftover. You can see kind of how it's really kind of changing now. Oh, thanks. I know, I'm kind of excited. I'm really excited about this paint. I also think, so I haven't tried it yet, so don't, I'm coming back in, by the way, with a little blue agave over here. So don't, I haven't tried this, but I think that this paint would mix actually really, really well. I feel like with all these three paint lines, Dixie Belle has everything. And I really want to try to blend this paint with a little chalk mineral paint to make a lot of different colors. And I really feel like that's going to be a really, a way to blend a little bit easier, but still maybe have some of those self-leveling properties. And by the way, that is totally theoretical. I don't know yet if that's going to work, but just based on what I've done with this paint so far, I kind of feel like that might be a little bit of a game changer. But we'll see. Time will tell. All right, so let me just kind of look back. I'm really liking how this is looking so far. I'm gonna actually take this brush here one of my premium chip brushes. I'm going into the London Blue, and I'm going to go through, I wish I had one of my screwdrivers here so I could pull the drawers out. As I'm going to go back over here, this paint is still wet, but I want to go back through. And again, all of these little steps that you do just add a lot more depth. That was a little bit much there. So let me just kind of blend that out some. Sorry, you guys, I stick my paintbrush in my mouth all the time. And I forget when I'm on a live. Nobody can really understand me probably. Let's see. So what I'm doing when I'm doing this down here, I'm really just tapping the side of my brush to give these higher parts a little highlight. I'm not going to go all the way over. I can do that a little bit later. Some of them have too much white down here, so I'm just going to come back in. All these different shades though, like I said, this makes all the difference for all of that depth. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and scoot over. Let's go ahead and do this side. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go down here and start on this claw foot. We should be able to get this whole front finished here. You know what? I think I wanna come through, just add a little bit more shading up through here. So I need to be careful on this part because this part is in that phase where it's drying. It's not all the way dry, but it's not wet enough to where it won't pull back. All right. So let me make sure you can kind of see this foot down here. It's kind of hard for me to tell. I've got the comments coming up. Oh, thanks, Marianne. So you guys, hopefully I'm not missing a lot, but let me scroll through. Oh, hey, Chalk Paint 101. I see you on here. I haven't seen you. I haven't seen any of those comments the last couple weeks until I get off. I don't know. The Facebook updates are just, they have me so confused. Technology is not my friend anyway. All right. So while we're doing this bottom section is a little bit more detailed. So what I'm doing first is I'm just taking this London Blue and I'm kind of making sure that it just gets into all the grooves on these claw feet. I'm just going to go ahead. And I'm not dabbing so much under here. I'm really just wanting the color to show. Like if you get an odd view of that, it's not something that you're really going to see under this section, so it's not really a big deal if I'm dabbing. I want it nice and dark under here because you would see a shadow from that overhang. And I want the feet obviously a little bit darker here on the bottom. I just want to make sure that this London Blue gets into all the grooves. Not going to worry about that other side. We're going to come back with a little bit of the blue Agave. And like I said, if you popped in late, this is blue Agave, London Blue, and some Moonbeam that we're doing. So I'm just going to kind of dab on. I don't want to necessarily blend this too much down here. I want it to be more of a highlight. So this paint, it seems to me to stick a little bit better than, give this a little highlight where it's rounded out there. It seems to stick a little bit better to me than the chalk mineral paint. Which, don't get me wrong, the bonding quality of chalk mineral paint is phenomenal. But this really, I love this paint. And this is the first time, you guys, that I've really used, like really painted with a clay-based paint. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of white down here also, or moonbeam. I just want to make it a little bit lighter in a few spots. Kind of accentuate some of the top of the feet down here. Maybe a little bit over here. Kind of switching my brushes around just depending on what color I want to add more of. I don't want this too light. I made this one, I think, a little lighter than I wanted to, so I'm just kind of trying to see if I like this one a little bit darker. I'm going to leave it a little bit darker than the other one. Put a little shading in here too on this piece that sticks out. Not too much. For the most part, I'm leaving the feet the London blue here. Bring this over just a little bit more. And I'm actually going to go ahead and put some splatters on here now as well. So I found that this paint is a little bit harder to splatter, and I didn't have time to try kind of some other methods. So I've just got a toothbrush here, and I'm dipping it into the moonbeam. And I'm just running along here. This is very light. It's a very subtle thing. Like I said, I'll bring you in closer to see it. But all I'm doing is kind of getting the toothbrush. This is thinning it out because I added quite a bit of water here. And I'm just kind of splattering it along. I'm going to do this also with the blue agave. I haven't done a lot of blending over there. I'm going to have to go over that spot. So I'm going to dip it in. I'm giving it several different shades. So I'm dipping the same one in here. And I'm just kind of splattering it. I'm almost thinking I might do more like a wash on the second coat. I don't know. I never know until I actually start working on it. All right, so we're gonna come up here. And I'm going over this section that's starting to dry down here. I want to actually kind of go around these. I want that shading around these. Like I said, I'm going to wipe these off. I'm going to be using gilding wax on the hardware, kind of doing a little patina on them. So, or at least that's what I think I'm going to do now. So I want to go ahead and put some shading though around these. I know I didn't come up with this London blue this far on the other side, but this is mostly for shading in here. And the nice thing about this paint too is that with blending for ease of it as well, because it reactivates, obviously that makes it easier. That first coat is reactivating. So it's got so much more that is blended into it, but you can lock in. Like on this piece over here, I'm going to be painting it on different colors. So you can actually lock in that first coat. That first coat's just going to be peeking through the blues. But you can actually lock that in by protecting it with the Terra seal. So that you're not actually reactivating, because if I try to put blue over that and I reactivate that yellow, well, that would make green, but if I reactivate that corally orange and everything, that would end up giving me just kind of a brown look. I didn't get any of this blue agave over here, so we're just gonna go ahead. Just gonna kind of blend a little bit in here. But you guys, this is kind of a quick and easy paint job, especially if I had more Big Daddy brushes. It is fantastic. Let's go up here because we want a lot of this worked in. I like to take my dark colors and go in my recessed points to really give that shading. I always generally do that first. So this I'm going to add a little water to, because this paint is thick and I want to really work it into the grooves. I don't want so much of the paint on here because this is going to be lighter when I come in with the moonbeam. I don't want it too dark, but I definitely want these grooves. I want this color in all of the grooves. It's almost like when you do a wax to get it in there, you can do it with your paint ahead of time. So that really, you can see how that really thinned that out. I've got a little repair to do on this door to kind of bring that forward a little bit. Let me pop you guys up. You can't even see the top part here. So now I'm going to go ahead and come in with the moonbeam and really kind of put it on thick up here because I don't really want it this dark. I just wanted that shading already on there. Bring it over a little bit. I want that to be lighter, so we'll come back here. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to slop it on in here. I don't want it in all the recesses, and I probably should have waited for this section. That's okay. We're going to go with it like it is. I'm just not trying to hammer it into all of the recessed areas. And give it a little shading. I'm trying to do this quickly because I definitely want to get to the close-up to show you guys what this looks like close-up. Here we go. So now I'm coming back in with a little bit more of the blue agave to really mix those together a little bit more. Hopefully my head isn't in the way. I'm trying to make sure I get coverage in here. I'm not at the best angle. Want that a little bit darker here. You can do a little brushing. Trying to stick for the most part with those peaks and valleys. love all of this texture. So I'm actually going to switch out and get a new brush for my moonbeam, because I wanted to make it a little more striking in a couple of areas, and my brush is just too, I could have wiped it off, but I'm just switching back and forth between that blue agave and the moonbeam. You can just keep working it. I want to let this section dry off a little bit. It's just got a little bit too much because I sprayed it with the water. It's just got a little bit too much in there to really do a whole lot with that now. And I want those peaks and valleys, so I'm just dabbing over what I just did there to get that color worked in. You just kind of look back and see what you like, where you want your color. And after I finish this first coat, once it dries, I will notice areas where I don't really like how that shading looks. And in that particular instance, I will just, when I do my second coat, I'll just correct it on that coat. Just dabbing some of this on. And I didn't mean to do that. So super easy to correct. You just come back and do a little dabbing. You don't have to worry about it being activated the first time around. So I just want to do a little bit of highlights. And I actually kind of dip my brush in both the blue agave and the white. And I'm just going to kind of, whoops, wrong brush. That's okay. Super easy to correct. I don't know that I don't know what I'm going to do with this hardware. I don't know how this paint will stick to this hardware. But I'm kind of liking it painted with just a gilding wax highlight instead of cleaning it up. But I think this is perfect for my base coat. This is kind of where I ended up. See, like this section down here, I really don't like that. I wasn't in a great position to get that done. But it doesn't matter because once I come back and do the second coat, I know that's an area that I want to work on and I'll be able to correct it in that second coat. But this is perfect. I'm loving it for the first coat. I will probably wait till this dries a little bit and come back and do a little bit of dry brushing just to add a little more depth. I got a couple minutes. I'm just going to scroll through. I didn't see any questions or anything. So let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. I feel like everybody was so quiet. Oh, thanks so much, Denise. Thank you. I'm loving all these colors so much more than I thought. So much more than I thought I was going to. Okay, so today I've used the London Blue is my darker blue here. And then I've got blue agave. And then that's the blue agave here, London Blue, and then the Moonbeam. I'm loving this London Blue. It goes perfect with the Lanny's Lagoon and cerulean, I can't pronounce it. The other blue. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Nikki. Yeah, and I love Giselle. Yeah, it's not only that too. I love the way that, so I tried a vinegar and a water mix too, and I love the way that that kind of pulls back with and without a sealant in between the first and the second coat. I just love playing with something I haven't used before. And I haven't watched a lot of videos, you guys, because I like to play with it first and kind of get my own opinion about it. And then I like to not just get my own opinion, but I like to watch the videos because then it makes me think of it makes me understand better what our training videos are once I've played with it and kind of got to see how it reacts in different situations. Hopefully that made sense. I'm not sure. It's Monday, you guys. So I've been watching my granddaughters too. I've got another one coming back at 8:30 tonight, but they were both here today, so I've been up since 3 too. So, oh, thanks, Melissa. All right, you guys. So yes, Marianne. So as far as protectants go, you do want to protect it because it will not cure on its own. It's very matte, and there's a Terra Seal, which is kind of like a flat clear coat. It pretty much eats up satin, but you can do a couple coats of satin and get a slight little sheen on it. But it does have to be protected. The Terra Wax is coming out soon. It's oil-based, and I've heard it's phenomenal, but I haven't got to try it yet. There's some things they're still doing with it. So, that Terra Wax is like hard as nails, I've heard, as far as the sealant goes. Water repellent, everything. But absolutely needs to be top coated. You spill some water on this thing and the paint's gonna run, even if it's a month from now. All right, let's see here. All right, so you guys, I don't think I see any other questions or anything like that on here. If I did miss anything, I will go back and look through everything after the live is over. And if I did miss anything, I'll go back and answer it then. Oh, hey, Deborah. All right, you guys. So thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Like I said, I do have a video on this other piece, and once I do the second coat, I'll either video it or do it live, but I'll put that together and post it with the final pictures. So to see everything once it's completely done, you can follow me on Facebook. The link is in the description there, and thanks so much. Oh, wait, do you have to use that? No, you don't. You can, and that's what I was saying earlier too. I'm actually going to try to do a smooth blend with it, even though it's not a self-leveling paint. I'm doing that to get a little bit of texture, a little bit of peaks and valleys. Oh, I need to bring you in. A little bit of peaks and valleys on here, so that when I come back with my last coat, that'll kind of peek through and it'll just give it a lot more depth. Because, you know, in this dark spot over here, say I might end up with some other shades and all that good stuff. So all of that is what makes it truly look kind of aged and worn and all that good stuff. So let me go ahead and bring you down so that you can kind of get a close up. Like I said, you guys, I'm sorry, my tripod's being really weird. I don't know. I keep on pulling it apart. But let's see if you can really kind of see how this is coming together. So you can kind of see, can you guys see like the paint splatter? I did it a little bit more over on this side, but you can kind of get up close, see how that texture is, see everything that it's created here. Let me see. See if I can get this around so you can kind of see the paint splatter over here. hopefully, I can't tell when it's so close to the piece like this, but hopefully that kind of just gives you an idea of what it looks like close up, kind of how it blends together. Like I said, this is the first coat, so it's, you know, there's still some of those areas that need a little bit of coverage, but once that second coat goes on, it's really, really gonna come together. But no, there's really no rules on this paint. You can apply it however you want. I haven't tried it, but I'm guessing this paint is gonna be amazing applied with the sea sponge for like a really old world finish. So I'm super excited to try so much with this. But thank you again, you guys. If you think of anything later, feel free to send me a message on my page. Everyone have a great night and a great rest of your week. Bye. Thank you, Dixie Belle.